Hello, good morning,
Good
everyone.
morning.
How are you?
Hi, Laurel.
Good morning, Laurel. How are ya?
So everybody on this fine Friday morning.
I know. It's such nice weather
It is.
outside. I don't know.
It was really nice yesterday. It was just that magical temperature. Not too hot,
Yep.
not too cold. It was just perfect.
Sorry, I'm adjusting my
okay.
volume on my phone.
Hi, Connie.
Good morning, Connie. Welcome. Good to see you guys. So today we have a fun treat. So over the course of the last year and a half, we've had a lot of new sewists joining, right? A lot of new sewists making masks and just kind of get into doing something that's therapeutic, getting their mind off everything around us. So we thought we'd kind of take this back a little bit and do a project that's somewhat simple. For those of you who are seamstresses and who know how to sew, will probably know how to make this. However, the nice thing is there's a couple of techniques that Lynn's going to show you that you may or may not know, or it may help you with other projects that you are doing. So I believe you even use this technique on your blouses that you made, so you can talk about that.
Making, yeah.
So I'm not going to give it away exactly. So I'm just going to let you know that you guys are in for a good program this morning, and thank you for joining. Good morning, Diana. Good morning, Karen. Good to see you guys. So I guess without much further ado, do you want to get started, Lynn?
Sure.
All right.
All right, everybody. So as Selena said, we're doing a fun project. This would be a great project for you guys to work on with grandchildren, nieces, nephews, neighbor kids, whoever. Morning, Jeannie, whoever you might be teaching to sew. So we're going to make our favorite go-to project for teaching people how to sew, and that is pillowcase. So I whipped up a couple yesterday, and what we're doing with these pillowcases we are making it so there are no raw seams, which is always a great finish. Now mine are I didn't embellish them or anything, but you could always do an embroidery here, decorative stitches or something like that. Even on this portion you could do that, make it more of an heirloom pillowcase. And on this part you could make it a different size if you want. This piece is cut to 3 inches. Morning, Janet. This piece was cut to 3 inches and then allowing for a 1/4 inch seam. So what I've done is I have on the pattern, it calls for 1/8 of it just calls for a 2.5 strip for the flange. So here's my strip for the flange. I've already pressed it in half, wrong sides together, so it's all set to go. This is going to be my cut. Let me move a couple things out of my way here. Sorry. This is going to be my cuff. It requires a 1/4 yard of fabric, and I cut it to be, we give you, here at AAA, we give you 10 inches instead of 9 inches. So what it is that the salvages are going to be cut off all our pieces of fabric, and this is cut the width of the fabric. All right. So I'm going to start out with my cuff laying right side up, and you won't be able to see all of it, but you'll get the idea of it. So there's my cuff right side up, and I am going to place the body of my pillowcase right side up, matching the top raw edge. Okay? And once again, I feel like I'm shouting. Once again, my fabric is cut. I cut it 28 inches. The pattern that I was referring to called for 27 inches, but I made mine just a little bit longer. And I'm going to match up right side up again. See, notice it's right side up. And I'm matching the top edge again. And what you want to do, I've already done it, but what you want, because fabrics are different widths, so what you want to do is you want to make sure that all your 3 fabrics are going to be the same width, so they'll match up on both side seams right there. So I'm going to pull this down a little bit so we can see it. And I know I need a bigger work surface. We'll make it work. And then we'll pull this down a little bit. Okay, now that all this is in place, I'm going to take my flange and I'm going to put it with the fold down and the raw edges once again all even, so they're all lined up. And then you guys know I'm not much of a pinner, but I'm actually going to pin this time. So I'm going to pin all along this top edge. And keep making sure all my edges are even. Try to make sure they're even on both sides. And then I'm going to go ahead and pin it. That first pin's off camera. Okay, and I'm going to just pin it every few inches. Now, if you feel like if you're teaching someone to sew, what you could do is base these edges together so that you're sure this, because I was sewing one and my little flange slipped down a little bit so it didn't get caught. So what you could do is, if you're feeling that you need to, once you have these together, you can base them together. I'm not going to do that, but that's certainly an option. Everything is what's comfortable for you and keeps everything stress-free for you. You did, oh, Connie just made 13 pillows cases this morning. So there was a program, I guess it was a couple years ago now, called Million Pillowcases, where they were people were making and donating pillowcases to different child organizations, because I think it was mainly for foster kids, because when they moved from home to home, they didn't really have anything to put their personal belongings in. So that was a charity program, and we actually we and our customers took part in it. So on this side, I thought I cut everything even, but obviously not. But we can adjust that later. Everything is fixable. So now I have my top pinned together. So maybe this is the zoom part? No. Is this part the zoom or this part?
It's that part, the big one.
The big one?
Yep.
I'm going to see if I can zoom out. It's as far as I can go. All right, so you'll just have to... Now what we're going to do what they call, a lot of people call the Burrito Method. And what that is I'm going to take my bottom part and roll it up. So, as you know, this is pretty wide, so you won't be able... So it's like, what, 42 wide? So just be patient with me. We'll get to the top very soon. Now this Burrito Method makes it so we roll up the body of the pillow into the cuff. And that way you won't have raw edges at the top. Now see, now you can see the right side of that cuff piece. So we're going to keep rolling. Okay, I'm almost to the top. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my cuff piece and bring it up and meet those raw edges and pin it. And
I love this method.
I know this is, and you know, people, like if you make a blouse with a yoke, excuse me, you can do this method with the yoke to make it so there are no raw edges. So it just makes it very nice and clean. Of course, those of us with sergers could certainly just serge it, but this just seems even more so. So yeah, Connie, the catching the flange, because I did boo-boo and this part of the flange. We're going to try to keep this as flat as possible. I might not be as successful because my work area is not as big as normal, but that's okay. We're going to make it work. And then we're going to pin it. And now when we go to the sewing machine, we are going to sew this part of it with a 1/4 inch seam. And I'll cut after I'm done sewing, I'll cut to make sure it's all even. And one more pin. All right, so there we have it. Everything's rolled up. See, it's all encased, like a burrito or pigs in a blanket, something like that. So I'm going to go ahead and switch cameras and go over to the sewing machine. Oops, wrong sewing machine. There we go. We have more than one sewing machine here. There we go. All right. Now what I'm going to do is, just for ease of things, I am just using a regular foot, sewing foot, general purpose sewing foot, but I am going to make it so I am, oh, that's one. Put down, there we go. I am going to make it so I have a 1/4 inch seam. So to do that with this regular foot, I have measured, I put my needle down and I measured from the edge of the foot to the needle and moved it until I got to a 1/4 inch. So I already know that I'm going to move my needle 3 positions to the right. Okay, grabbing my pin cushion. All right, so we're just going to go ahead and sew down this seam. I'm going to try not to have my hands in your way. I'm putting the edge of the foot at the edge of the seam, and I have my stitches set at 2.5, and I'm going to just follow my edge of my foot to the top edge of that fabric. And of course we don't want to run over pins, do we?
And it's helpful to do your needle in the down position,
yes, right? Yes. My needle is always stops with the needle down. And many of us in our machines, we have settings that we can do that in. Because most of us, well, any sewing machine can do that. If your sewing machine doesn't have needle up and down, you can just use your churn wheel to make the needle down.
It's cute, churn wheel. Do you mean flywheel? That's funny, Lynn.
I know, we never use that anymore, right? Because we have needle up and down, but we don't need to turn our hand wheels anymore. In fact, they don't really like us to. No. But some habits die hard, right? Old habits. So I'm just shifting my fabric, making sure everything's staying even. I am using my extension table today. To tell you the truth, most times I sew free arm, but I am using, that way my fabric's supported. Almost there. And this pillowcase doesn't take that much yardage. It's about a 3/4 yard for the body, and then 1/4 yard for the cuff, and then about an 1/8 yard for the little flange. All right, I've cut my thread, and then my burrito is sewn. So let me go back over here to our work surface. Okay, so our burrito's sewn, and I'm trusting that the flange is caught. I'm gonna move my mic so you can hear me a little better. There we go. All right, so now what we're going to do is pull the body out through the cuff. Let me turn it this way. It's a little easier for me to do it right with my right hand. So I'm just pulling it out through the cuff. It's not that hard. I'd probably make it harder than it needs to be because we're on camera. And you can always top stitch too if you want. I don't normally do that, but you could do it. And I'm just using a light gray thread today. That's why I'm not going to top stitch. Because the thread doesn't really match. All right. So we are turned right side out. So we just want to lay our cuff flat. And I didn't set up the iron today, so I'm going to just use our handy dandy pressing tool. Just lay it as flat as possible. And if you like this fabric, we still have some. As you can see, I'm a little bit long on this one side. So just keep it. My bad. Okay, that was my bad. I accidentally put my fabric on the keyboard and touched something. Sorry about that. The beauty of live. But Selima fixed it, so we're all good. All right. So now I want my fabric to be even on all sides. I don't know why I got a little twist here. See if I can fix that. Of course, this did not happen at home. Of course, it's happening now. There we go. Sorry, guys. Just girls and we probably have some gentlemen too, which would be great. All right. So I'm getting it to lay flat. And then I'm going to cut off this. I have a little extra on this side. So I'm going to just go ahead and cut that off. There's some scissors here. All right, now what I'm going to show you is we want to have a completely clean finish inside and out. So we're going to do a French seam. And French seams are a little different. Probably a lot of you already know what they are. But what we're going to do is instead of sewing at right sides together, we are going to sew at wrong sides, starting out with wrong sides together. I'm just getting
That's
it.
completely different than what we would
Completely different. So, but what we want to do is make sure that our flange edges line up. So I'm going to take, sorry, I'm a little off camera. So I want to make sure my top edge lines up and my flange lines up. So I'm actually going to take a pin and put it in my flange part. Can you see that? And then I'm going to line it up to this flange part and pin it so that hopefully it'll match up. There we go. So the lane that she pins from the middle out both sides so I don't get the twist. Yes. Good idea. All right, so here we go. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to seam, my first seam is going to be a 1/4 inch with wrong sides together. Okay. So I'm going to go to the sewing machine and go ahead and do that. And this time, I'm not going to pin. Wish me luck. Okay, back to the sewing machine. So I still have my needle set for a 1/4 inch seam. And I'm going to put my, oops, my needle came unthreaded. Of course it did. I threaded it by hand because I didn't want to have to move my needle again. Okay, so we have the 1/4 inch seam set. I'm going to start out with the back stitch. And then we're going to go ahead and do our first seam at a 1/4 inch. Wrong sides together. Trying to keep our raw edges together. Oh, I forgot to move the mic. Sorry about that.
That's what I'm here for.
That's why Selena's here, she said. So you can see why this is a perfect project for kids, because it's all just straight stitching. I was going to look up the origin of French seams, but then I didn't. So if any of you know what the origin of French seams are, maybe you can comment. Looks like I broke this a little bit. Oh, sorry. Now we're going to turn the corner.
So you're doing both sides then?
We're doing the one side and the bottom.
And the bottom, got it.
My bottom came out a little bit shifty, so we're just going to go with the raw edge. So what happens when I'm doing this French seam method is my final seam is, instead of a 1/4 inch, it's going to be like in total 5/8 of an inch. I think I got my thread down a little bit. There we go. All right, so now, oops, I'll let me go back to the workstation. Now normally I would go to the iron and press my seam open, but instead I'm going to just use our finger press and press it open. I mean, this isn't really necessary. I just want to try to get a clean edge. It's because this seam, I can't find that. This seam is going to be enclosed. So I'm just going to open it up a little bit. So this will help it lay flat a little bit. And that actually the finger press is doing an excellent job.
It's a good tool.
It's a very good tool. And it's so smooth. It's pleasing, you know, it feels good in your hand. So when we had kids camp, I believe pillowcases were one of the first projects they would do.
I also taught my nieces a couple of summers, maybe 3 summers ago.
Oh,
Pillowcases, yeah.
that's fun.
Yeah, it was fun.
So then they can be proud and have their own little personal pillowcase. Now you'll see that my one seam's a little bigger, but I'm not going to worry about that. I'm going to go ahead and trim it. Actually, I'm going to trim it now. Because if I don't trim it, the raw edge will show, and we don't want that. And this only happened because I'm doing this live.
So you use the same French seam technique when you made your blouses recently. You've been making a lot of blouses, right?
I've made like 5 blouses. And my serger, I have a serger, but to tell you the truth, the way the sewing room is right now, the serger is hard to get to. So instead, trying to move the serger out and all that, I just did a French seam. So I did a French seam. It's just a simple tank top. I did a French seam on the side seams and the shoulder, and then the armhole and the neck I finished with bias tape. And it had to be biased because it's going around a curve. So now what we're going to do is we're going to turn it so it's wrong side out. And I'm going to use my handy dandy point turner. Well, I already had one out. And I'm going to just point out my corners so that I have a nice crisp corner. You guys at home would press it. That'd be the best thing to do, but we did not set up the iron today, which is fine. So there we go. My corners are pressed out, and I am just going to kind of roll my seam. So what you want is we want to sew just enough to encase that raw edge. So it's going to be like 3/8 of a seam, 3/8 of an inch seam. So I'm just rolling my seam to get it on the edge.
Oh, got it. So you want to make sure that that seam that you just sewed is inside your next seam, basically.
Yes.
Right?
So the whole point is to encapsulate that raw edge.
How clever is that?
I know. I wonder if the origin really was in France. If it was, they're so clever, those French people. And of course, back in those days, they probably were all doing this all by hand. That's like our grandmothers and their embroidery. If they could see what our machines did now, they would be, oh my goodness. They spent all those nights by the lamp doing it. Oh, good, Diana. I'm glad you learned something about the French seam. Good. That's what we want. Sometimes we have these techniques and we don't use them, and then we forget about them. There's also something called a Hong Kong seam, but that's when all the seams are captured in a bias. All right, so now I'm going to go to my machine, and I am going to remember to change my needle position. So I know from experience that I need to go back 2 ticks to the left. Now remember, you guys, everybody's machine is going to be different. Even if you are sewing on the same model as I am, it could be different. And I didn't mention it, but I'm sewing with the G needle. It's probably a 90 weight G needle. All right, so we're going to start out with the back stitch like before. And I'm running the edge of my foot against the edge of the fabric. So these will be very durable pillowcases because there's no raw edge. And very clean looking. So you could do, like on that cuff area, like I said before, you could do embroidery. It's just, when you do embroidery, you have to keep in mind the placement of the embroidery, because when you turn the cuff, it depends on, like if you're doing their name, do you want their name to face outwards or do you want it to face the pillowcase? So you have to think about things like that. You could do some heirloom techniques like pin tucks, decorative stitches, all kinds. That might be a fun way to use the decorative stitches in your machine. So I know my grandma used to make pillowcases with a crochet edge on it. But we could, since that's almost like a lost art, right? Okay, I'm getting close to the corner. So I'm going to try to eyeball it with my foot. My needle's down. I'm turning the corner. Oh my goodness, it's like perfect. So instead of doing those crocheted pillowcases, we can do decorative stitches. We could monogram them. Just because a lot of us do have embroidery machines. One year for Christmas, I made my cousin's family all pillowcases, and then I embroidered their name on the cuff. They love them, so.
I found an embroidered pillowcase.
Oh, Selima found an embroidered one, so that's good. We'll show that. And then if you're teaching kids to sew, you could definitely work with them and they could do their embroidery, because I mean, I would do it for them, but I'd let them like type in their name, and that would be fun. Look at this.
He's asking, do you have any suggestions for stabilizer? Did you already address that?
So stabilizer, I would just use a tearaway.
So she did.
Oh, you did? I need to embroider them to personalize back. Sticky. Oh, okay. So, Connie, was your pillowcase already together when you were embroidering it, or did you do it before you made it? Because generally, I always embroider before I make it, because I'm not good at centering stuff, I have to tell you. I even have all the tools, and I'm still not good at it. So, I always embroider before I make it, but usually, depending on how dense the design is, the tearaway should do it. Maybe you need to use, oh, it was together already. Okay. So I usually do it, Connie, before. If it's already together, maybe you needed to float another stabilizer under it, because puckering usually does mean that it wasn't stabilized enough. But another thing is, because you did it when it was already together, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't change it. It might be that because it was already together, these two layers are not attached. So that might have caused a problem. Maybe one layer shifted when the other layer was being embroidered. That could be too.
Another suggestion would be to use a fusible no-show mesh. But what you want to do with those no-show mesh stabilizers is you do want to iron it first. Iron it first to shrink it.
Oh, yes.
So you want to shrink that stabilizer first, then attach it to your fabric. So then you fuse it to your fabric. So then when you're all said and done and you've ironed it, one of them does not shrink than the other one, and then that way it reduces the puckering. I'm going to show you, or Lynn's going to show you a pillowcase here. This one has a little bit of puckering, but this one we used tearaway stabilizer. We didn't use the fusible method, no-show method, and we didn't do the shrinking of that. That was before I learned that technique.
So when you shrink it, do you actually iron it or you steam it?
Steam it.
Oh, steam it. Okay, so she uses a high steam iron and hovers it over it to shrink it. So isn't this cute? Look at Minnie and Mickey.
Turn it away 90 degrees, yeah.
Isn't that cute? So this one, you don't so much have to worry about it. The placement, because it's going this way. You more have to worry about the placement if Minnie were going up and down.
Right.
Then you have to think about, well, do I want Minnie to face pillowcase or do I want Minnie to face out? So that's what you would look for. All right, my pillowcase is done. So I'll transfer to us. There we go. Here we go. The pillowcase is finito. Is that cute with the bees? Bees are a big thing right now. See? And then the seam is all enclosed. Let me go back to the work table camera. So those pillowcases embroidered like that, some of you have the Brother machines. Kids would love it with a Mickey. So here we are, the seam is all captured. So no raw edges. Isn't that beautiful? She's zooming in. My camera girl. See? All enclosed. There's no raw edges. Now I do have some stray little strings that I'll cut off, just because, the edge of the fabric frays. But it's clean finished and my pillowcase is done. So this can be a nappy pillowcase. There we go, and our bees. I love this fabric. So I made a table topper out of this. I was going to make a blouse, but I don't think yellow is my color. So anyway, so that's it for today. Do you guys have any questions?
So what'd you guys think? Did you guys learn something? I know I did. French seams, I've always been intimidated with French seams, but you made it seem really, really easy.
It is easy. As long as you make that seam big enough so you capture that raw edge. Sure, Elaine, you can watch it later because that's what's nice about Facebook, is it's always there. So I think Laurel made can we scroll up and see Laurel's comment? I saw Laurel made a comment about sheer fabric and French seams were mainly used on sheer fabrics and undergarments.
That makes sense.
Yeah, so it would make a really nice finish. You could see through it, and what you would just see is that clean finish. So.
Right.
Good, Janet. Make lots of pillowcases and post them for us, okay?
Yeah, post some pictures.
We love it. Yes, Rosalie. It's very easy, very rewarding. Quick. And it's very useful. I like useful.
And right now also the kids are home, the grandkids are home, and you want to teach them how to sew, have them sit down and make a pillowcase. And what I did with my nieces, I had 2 of them here. I brought them to the store, but what I did was I had everything cut out ahead of time. So they had no cutting to do because I didn't want them to use a rotary cutter. So I made sure everything was cut ahead of time, but I had them assemble it, do the burrito part, and all of that good stuff.
So Diana, the measurements for the fabric is, sorry, I got a little tickle. You're going to cut it 20 for this part.
Want some water?
Yeah. So I'm going to take a little drink of water. Sometimes I talk too much.
So the fabric, Sandy, we just use 100% cotton fabric. Yeah, 100% cotton fabric.
All right.
Now we have, Lynn will go ahead and give you the measurement, but I do have a pattern that we drafted and created here at the store, so I will post that as well in the group. I guess not in the group, this is an open thing, so I think I can just post it
to files.
In the files, maybe in the file section. I think there's a file section, I haven't checked. I will go ahead and post it, and I'll let you know where I post it. How's that? But so that you can print the directions out. It's all colored. You want to show the instructions?
The instructions are very nice. These are the ones I actually followed. So they're very nice.
Yeah, so I have the instructions, so I'll go ahead and post that so that you guys can just print it up.
So Diana, so this part, she went back. Sorry.
Are you going to go back?
Yeah, just
Sorry.
So the main part is 27 inches by width of fabric. The little flange part is 2.5 inches by width of fabric, and the cuff is 9 inches by width of fabric. I use 10, but 9 is, and you can alter it. The only thing is because we're doing with the fabric, well, I guess even if it's a king-size pillow, they're all the same width.
Yeah.
But if it's a king-size pillow, you might have to make the main fabric longer.
Right.
All right. So Connie had a pattern that had a hidden pocket. Oh, that's cool.
Interesting.
For the tooth fairy? All right, my friends.
Anybody else have any other questions? This was fun, Lynn. Thank you so
You're
much.
welcome.
What a
I had a great time doing it.
Yeah, back to the basics. Sometimes we just need to go back to the basics, and you always learn something. I mean, I learned about French seams because I was really intimidated by them. You talked about them, using them on your blouse, and I just didn't know exactly how that happens. So that's awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome. Tooth fairy.
Oh, it is a tooth fairy. Yeah, really cute. Really
And
cute.
sometimes, you know, for me, sewing is a relaxing, chilling thing. So sometimes I don't want to make a big, complicated project. I want to have something quick and easy, and you get instant results, and it's very satisfying. So.
Sandy, nice to see what Lynn looks like.
Oh!
Sandy, you must be in the IQ designer group, and you don't see what Lynn looks like. That's so funny. Maybe next time we should bring you out.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll come out.
That's a good point, Sandy. We'll bring Lynn out in the next IQ tips and tricks. That's funny. That's cute. Yep. Ta-da, Lynn.
Ta-da!
Okay, awesome. Anybody else have any other questions? Thank you guys so much for joining us, and we will see you back again. We are here again on Wednesday for our Wednesday night live Facebook fabric sale, or we call it Wine Wednesday or Wednesday Night Live. We've got a couple of names for them just because of how we feel, I suppose, right?
Some of our customers named it Wine Wednesday.
Wine Wednesday, yeah. So we'll be back again on Wednesday, and then of course we'll be back next Friday for another fun Friday Fun Day. So thank you guys all for joining us. Take care.
Have a great day and a great weekend.
Bye for now.
Bye.